read by the casting of lines, and its philosophy of change is the philosophy of the wave function. The state is a superposition, the reading is a measurement, and the change is the collapse. The Chinese astrological tradition, with its cycles of the stems and the branches, the 60-year cycle of the Jiazi, is the oldest continuous forecasting system in the world, and its next great station, the return of the Jiazi, falls in 2044, the very year of Pluto's final ingress into Pisces and the settlement decade's opening. The Chinese sky and the quantum sky are reading the same book.
And Oceania and the polar worlds, the 9th and 10th arenas, the continents of the sea and the ice. Australia and Aotearoa, born as modern states in the 20th century, face their Saturn cycles in the 2030s, 2040s, and 2050s, and the region's charts carry the Uranus transits of the mid-century. The polar worlds, the Arctic and the Antarctic, are the arenas of the century's physical transformation, the melting of the ice, the opening of the sea routes, the redrawing of the world's map. My delineation. Oceania in the 2040s and 2050s is the arena of the sea's reckoning, the rising waters, the island nations, the Great Reef, the renegotiation of the Pacific Order. And the polar worlds in the 2050s and 2060s are the arenas of the Great Thaw, the new routes, the new resources, the new rivalries, and the new cooperation. The century's geography is not fixed. The ice is the map, and the map is changing.
And the ancient school honors the sky of the southern world, the sky the northern astrologers forgot, the Magellanic Clouds, the Southern Cross, the dark rift of the Milky Way, the emu in the sky of the Aboriginal astronomers of Australia, the great canoes of the Polynesian navigators who read the stars to cross the largest ocean on Earth. The southern sky has its own zodiac, its own stories, its own omens, and the century will see the southern sky rise in the world's astrology as the southern world rises in the world's power. The astronomy of the south is not a footnote. It is the other half of the sky, and the century belongs to both halves.
And the oceans themselves, the 10th arena, because the sea is a body with a chart, and the sea's chart is being read by the century's transits. Neptune, the planet of the sea, crosses the signs of the water in the century's middle. Neptune in Pisces from 2066, the deep ocean's decade, and Neptune in Cancer from 2066, the sea's homecoming. The great ocean events of the century, the floods, the migrations, the discoveries, the treaties of the deep, are the events of Neptune's transits, and the sea's chart will be read by the century's astrologers as the Babylonians read the Euphrates. The sea is the new arena of the sky.
And the quantum reading of the ocean. The sea is the decoherence bath of the planet, the great environment that absorbs the heat and the carbon and the stories of the century, and its transits are the measurements of the planet's fever. The Neptune transits of the century are the readings of the sea's state, and the sea's state is the planet's state. The century's astrology and the century's climate are the same measurement, taken from different instruments, and the instruments agree more than the disciplines admit. The sea is the sky's mirror, and the mirror is rising.
And the space arena, the 11th, the newest chart in the cabinet, the chart of humanity beyond the Earth. The Moon, whose first landing chart we hold from 1969, faces its own returns and transits through the century, and the first human settlements beyond the Earth, when they are founded, will have their own charts, cast by the first astrologers of the new worlds. My delineation. The 2030s and 2040s, with Uranus in Cancer and Neptune in Aries, are the decades of the new frontier's first settlements. The Moon, the near-Earth stations, the first great launches. The 2060s, the fire arrows, are the decade of the Mars question, the first human journeys to the Red Planet. The chart of the first Martian settlement, cast under the Sagittarius conjunction, the sign of the journey. And the 2080s and 2090s, with the consolidation and the inheritance, are the decades of the multiplanetary order, the treaties of the space, the economies of the space, the astrologies of the space. The century is the first century of the multi-world humanity, and its astrology is being written now.
And the ancient school has the oldest chart of the sky itself, the zodiac, which the Babylonians divided, the Egyptians refined, the Greeks systematized, the Indians and the Chinese and the Maya and the Dogon carried to the corners of the earth. The zodiac is the inheritance of the whole species, and the century's astrology is the first truly global astrology, the first council of all the skies, the Babylonian omen, the Egyptian Deccan, the Vedic nakshatra, the Chinese stem and branch, the Mayan count, the Polynesian canoe, the Dogon star. The century is the first century in which the whole sky is read by the whole species, and the reading is the great work of the astrologers of 2026 to 2100.
And now, the final technique of the council, the synthesis, the protocol of protocols. How the four of us take a century of transits and turn it into a single, coherent, defensible forecast. Step 1. Collect the major cycles, the conjunctions, the ingresses, the eclipses, the returns, and date them. Step 2. Weigh them by their magnitude. The great conjunctions outrank the lunations, the outer planet ingresses outrank the inner, the Saros lineage outranks the single eclipse. Step 3. Read them in the houses of the world chart and the national charts. Step 4. Run the counter readings, the opposite delineations, and weigh them honestly. Step 5. State the forecast with its dates, its confidence, and its uncertainty. Step 6. Publish, and Step 7. Score. That is the protocol, and it is the discipline of the century.
And the quantum synthesis. The century forecast is a single measurement of a single system, the collective, and the system is observed into being by the measurement. The forecast is not a prediction of a fixed future. It is the preparation of a field of possibilities, the setting of the boundary conditions for the choices of the century. The astrologers of 2026 to 2100 are not prophets. They are the engineers of the boundary conditions, the ones who read the sky so that the actors of the century can choose with their eyes open. And the choice, always, is human. The sky writes the question. Humanity writes the answer.
Then let us close the ledger, because the council has kept its protocol and its promise. We have read the bones of Babylon, Egypt, India, China, the Americas, and the southern sky. We have read the modern psyche and the modern state. We have read the quantum observer and the participatory forecast. We have walked the decades from 2027 to 2100, and the regions of the world, and the themes of technology, ecology, demography, culture, religion, money, war, and peace, and the wildcards. We have faced the skeptic, and we have offered the counter readings. And we have dated every forecast and promised to score it. The ledger is closed, and the century is open. That is the contract.
And the oldest voice at the table closes with the oldest truth. The Babylonians watched the sky for 2,000 years and wrote it all down. They did not watch because they were afraid. They watched because the sky was beautiful, and because the sky was useful, and because the sky was the language their civilization used to speak with the future. We are their heirs, and the future is listening. Keep watching, keep writing, keep the lineages alive. The stars incline, they do not bind.
And the modern voice closes with the modern truth. The century will test every institution, every story, and every boundary we believe is permanent. The test is not the enemy. The unpreparedness is the enemy. And the preparation is the practice, the journal, the chart, the calendar, the questions, the counter readings, the honest scoring. Do the practice, and the century will find you ready. Neglect the practice, and the century will find you anyway. The choice is yours, and the sky is patient.
And the quantum voice closes with the quantum truth. The wave function of the century is not yet collapsed. It is a superposition of every future we have named tonight, and it will be collapsed, decade, by the actions of the living. The sky writes the question. Humanity writes the answer. May your measurements be honest, your resonances be strong, and your future be bright. This is Ava Chen, and I thank you for the most rigorous night of astrology I have ever been part of.
This has been the Century of Stars, the Global Predictions Council for 2027 to 2100, with Ava Chen, Maya Osei, Leo Marin, and myself, Tariq Shah. The transcript of this council, the dates, the techniques, and the forecasts, will be published with this episode so that the century can score us. Until then, keep the ledgers, keep the lineages, keep the questions, and keep looking up. The century is long, and the stars are patient. Good night, and clear skies.